Hi, Livi here with Solo Adventures, back again with another review for the BGG PnP Solitaire contest. Today we're looking at the game Hatchlings, which was made by designer Chris Kingsnorth. And Hatchlings is a tile-laying puzzle type of game that has a few legacy elements to it. In this game, we're an alien species attempting to infest a spacecraft that has been caught trespassing on our planet. So we're trying to take it over and claim it as a victory for our alien kind. So how is Hatchlings? How does it play? Let's find out. Alright, so this is how we set up a game of Hatchlings. First things first, we want to take all of the colored tokens that have one color on one side and maybe another color on the other, and we put it in a cup or a bag. In this case, I'm putting it in a cup because it's just easier for me to reach in and pull out, and also it's easier for me to shake them up, but you can use anything you want, really. And then we're going to separate out these hybrid tokens. So these are hatchlings that are hybrids. They're more than one type. We'll just set these aside for the moment. And then we're going to take all of these tokens that have the gray question mark on the back, and we'll put them face down and we'll shuffle them up so we don't know what they are. And then we will put them on the spaces on the board that have letters. So here's one for A, here's one for B, and here's one for C. And then we don't need the rest. We can put them away, but don't look at them. Because if you know what's here, you might have an idea of what might be here, because these can sometimes either help or harm you. We'll just get rid of these. And then what we do is we take one of the hybrids, just a random one, and we set it aside. We put the rest of the hybrids in the cup, shake them up a little bit, and before I go on, I want to mention that the tokens that I have, the tiles actually, that I have are very thick and very nice. I spent a good amount of time trying to make some really quality pieces. You can kind of hear how heavy they are. My method for making these is secret. Maybe if I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll make a video about how to make these. But I find that it's a lot easier with this game to have nice heavy tiles that are practically like plasticized. But the normal print and play files will give you the normal print and play files give you tiles that are perfectly fine, and they're not too difficult to make. You just print them out and cut them up. So now we begin to fill our hatcheries. These down here are our hatcheries. And I'm not looking when I'm putting my hand in this cup, even though maybe you can see a little bit, but I'm not looking. And we draw out hatchlings one at a time. And then we fill them up in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we don't look at the opposite side. We just lay them down. 6. Then we fill the right hatchery. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now this didn't happen while I was filling the hatchery, but it's possible that it can become overcrowded. So if there are 3 or more hatchlings that are touching each other, you have to remove one of them. So you put it back in the cup and you draw again. If at any time there are 3 hatchlings that are touching each other in any configuration, you have to remove one. And later on we'll have to remove it from the game, but as for right now we can just draw another one. First we put the hybrid down on the starting spot, and it doesn't really matter so much. Maybe in later levels it will, but right now it's pretty basic and doesn't really matter which way it's going. So we can play hatchlings from either the left or the right hatchery, but we can only play the hatchling that is in the number 1 position. So that means I can just play this red one or this green one. And a hybrid has to be touching a hatchling of its correct color on all of the sides, except for the gray side, which is basically a wild card, and it can touch any color. So let's play this red one. And then when you have an open space, you shift your hatchlings up. So I could pick this one or this one to move up, and now I can move this one or this one to move up. And I'll move up the red one. Then we refill the hatchery, drawing again, not looking at the other side, and just slotting it in where we had an empty space. So next we have to play a green. That's okay, we have a spot right here. And we'll shift these up. And yellow. And I'll put a blue one here. And the purple one can go here. The first moves that you make can be really obvious because you have to build off the hybrid, and of course the hybrid sides have to match the correct color. Going forward, you can lay down a tile of any color as long as it's touching one that went down before. So for example, I could put a yellow here or a yellow here, but I couldn't put a red here and I couldn't put a yellow here. Oh, now we have to shift up. Shift up. So the hybrids are kind of tricky because at first you might think that they're very easy to fit in because they have all of these colors, but actually I find them quite difficult to deal with, and so I try to place them early on in the game if I can. So I'm gonna put this hybrid here. So I want to play this red tile here on this little question mark spot, but I don't know if this is a trap or if this is a food token. So if we want to play a red one here, first we flip it over. It was a purple trap. Now this means that any hatchlings that are touching this space that are purple need to be removed, but since there are no purple hatchlings here, we can just discard it. And I can put my red here. So I'm just going to do this for the sake of demonstration. If the hatchlings that I have here aren't any colors that I particularly want, I can flip them over. I believe that's called mutating. So if I want, I can try to flip this over. And the mutation was successful because the color changed. If the color does not change when it flips over, that means the mutation is unsuccessful and you remove that tile from the game. So I will use this yellow one here. Oh, the hatchery is overcrowded. There's 3 blues in a row. So I am going to have to remove one from the game. It's possible we might be able to get it back later if we have a food token, but we'll just have to see. And then we try to refill the space. And since it wasn't the same color, we can keep it there. So we'll put the blue here. Yellow has to go here. And I'll try to put a purple here. Ooh, this is very good. This is a food token. So I can do multiple things with this. So there are a few different actions that I can take. One is that if I have a food token, then if I wanted, I could ignore an effect of a trap. If this one's a trap and it makes me remove some of my tokens. Or I can discard it to return all of the hatchlings from one of these hatcheries and put them back in the cup and then mix them up and draw them again. Or I could take up to 4 hatchlings that have been removed from the game. So for example, this one. And if I had 3 more, I could put in 4 and then put them back in the cup. I'm just going to hang on to it right now. And I'll put red here. I'm going to put this hybrid here. And then I can put the purple here. Oh, I'd really like to see what's there, but I don't have any yellows at the moment. Going to play this green one here. And I can put the red here. There's a yellow, finally. Purple can go there. Oh, my cup is getting pretty empty. Be running out of tiles soon. And that was my last tile. When you have no more tiles left in your cup, that means that you can't refill your hatcheries. Put the yellow here. Oh, it was a yellow trap. So everything that's touching it, that's yellow, has to be removed. Put a blue one here. Put a red here. And I've completed level 1. I think I made a little bit of a mistake earlier, so what I need to do is when I'm trying to place a... Let's say I'm trying to place the yellow there, what I should have done is that when you reveal it and it's a trap, you also have to remove the one in your hand. So I think I might have screwed that up earlier if I remember correctly. But yeah, this is what finished level 1 looks like. And this one wasn't too difficult, but I can promise you it can get much harder. So this is just level 1. As you go on, the levels get more and more complex. So for example, here's level 4, and all of these little narrow corridors are extremely difficult. Some of the levels also have special rules. So this one has rules for an escape pod, and you'll just have to deal with that when you get there. So at the end of your round, you count up the hybrids and you try to find out which, or not the hybrids. So at the end of your round, you try to count up the hatchlings and figure out which one has the most color. So that's 4, 3, 3, and then red and blue also have 5 each. We ignore the hybrids. So I can decide which of these two, red or blue, that I want to evolve. So if I evolve it, that means that it gets a special ability moving forward, and I get to carry it over through the rest of the game. So, for example, if I decided to evolve blue, and I wanted to evolve it, I would circle one of these 3 abilities that it can have. So if I decide I want it to be hardy, then in future levels, this hatchling type is immune to poison traps. Or I can make it independent, which means that the first one that I put on the map can be put on any ship hex that does not contain a circular token. So the first blue one that I put on, I can put anywhere. Or I can have compact. So that means that it's not removed from the hatchery, or I can have 3 hatchlings of the same kind touching each other in the hatchery, and it's only if I have 4 of the same type that I have to remove one. So, yeah, kind of hard to decide. Each hatchling can only evolve once though, so you have to be careful. As you can see, there are only 5 different colors and there are 10 levels, and so you cannot evolve the same hatchling twice. So you have to make sure that your decisions are well thought out. So what are my final thoughts about this game? Let's talk about it. Hatchlings, what did I think about it? Well, let's break it down a little bit. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the build. Now, the build was pretty easy, but you can make it really kind of as complicated or easy as you want to. It can be as easy as just printing out the sheets, and in my case I laminated them because I wanted them to be able to hold up to heavier wear, and also because I wanted to be able to write with a wet erase marker the abilities that my hatchlings had evolved. But of course it's entirely optional. And then of course you have the main feature of this game, which are the tokens. Now, the files of this game provide perfectly fine files for making these tokens, both in full color and in low ink, which is still in color. And you can just do this by, it's basically the gutter fold technique, where you fold it in half and you glue it and then you cut out the hexes. In my case, I wanted really chunky tiles, and so I used my super secret special technique. It's not actually that secret, it just involves some basic stuff that you have lying around and some patience. The reason why I made these tiles is because while the first set that I made were okay, I found that just touching them and handling them was leading to getting like little bends or smudges. And this is a game where you have kind of the push your luck element of trying to figure out if mutating your hatchling is actually going to change its color or not. So I found that I could kind of cheat a little bit because I would notice some of the smudges. They became recognizable. And the same goes for the traps. So I feel like you have to be extremely careful with the backs of these to make sure that you don't damage them, particularly with the traps. I think the traps would be a little bit more durable in that respect, because they're really the things that matter. I mean, these matter, but not quite as much. If the circles on the back were actually just darker. The instructions for this game are really good. I've annotated this one a little bit because the instructions have changed a little bit over time. Not too major, but just a little bit. I feel like the instructions are extremely good at teaching you the game. They're very clear, and you should have no problem whatsoever picking up this game. It's pretty easy. Alright, but how does this game play? Well, really well, in my opinion. I really like this game. I think it's perfect for relaxing with a cup of tea and just slowly thinking about the decisions that you want to make. It's very thoughtful, quiet, meditative. It's really wonderful. The push your luck aspects are extremely nice, and the randomness of some of the elements I think really lends to replayability. So it's a puzzle where you really do have to rely on your own strategy, but there are some random elements that can switch things up. And then of course being able to evolve your hatchlings over time adds a kind of legacy element to this game, and I think that's really fun. If I could make a house rule though, I would make it so that you are allowed to mutate the hatchlings more than once, but they can only have one ability at a time. So, for example, if you mutated the purples to be hardy, and then you decided that you don't want them to be hardy, the next time you have a level where you have a majority of the tiles purple, then you can change it to, like, compact or independent, whatever you like. So that's just my idea, and that's how I play. I love the theme. I love the idea of being an alien brood mother who's attempting to take over human spacecraft with my spawn. It's really wonderful, and it's kind of funny when you think about it. This game is so meditative, and it's, you know, if you can imagine what's actually happening on the inside of this spaceship, it's probably chaos and death. The hybrids are super tricky. I like those. They really can throw a wrench in your plans. Like, on the one hand, they do have, you know, the multicolor ability, and they do have the one side that's wild, and so they can be useful in some places, but I think more often than not, they are actually kind of an obstacle, and so you have to figure out where to place these, where they're going to cause the least amount of trouble. What's wonderful about Hatchlings is it has 10 levels. Now, the first level I've always been able to beat the first time I try it, but starting from level 2 on, things start getting progressively more difficult. I am personally stuck on level 4 at the moment, and I have played it multiple times. I have not quite developed the perfect strategy, as it were, yet, but I still want to keep trying. The thing about Hatchlings is that I really like it, but it can be a little bit distracting, actually, because I have more than 40 games that I have to be playtesting, and I keep wanting to go back and play Hatchlings. If I had to be critical about this game, it would really be nothing too major. So I think the main thing would have to be the tiles and the tile quality and the issues that come with potentially marking, smudging, or bending them, but that's really no problem with the designer. That's just inherent to building tiles out of cardstock. The only other thing is that the traps are a little bit iffy for me, because they can either have a huge effect or they can have, like, no effect. So especially in the earlier levels, the traps are unlikely to take out any of your hatchlings because the color is probably not going to match. Later on, where you have more hatchlings close by, it probably has a much bigger effect. And the food tokens make a massive difference, especially in the later levels. Whether you get a food token or not, I think will really help to decide whether you win the level or not, because being able to put all the hatchlings of one hatchery back into the bag and then draw them all out again, or to put in 4 hatchlings that have been removed from the game, it's super powerful and I really like it, but yeah, it does feel like the games can be a little swingy sometimes. but it feels so nice when you flip over the little question mark, and it is a nice little star looking back at you instead of a nasty trap. There are 10 levels for this game. 10. This should take you a while. Like I said, I'm stuck on level 4 at the moment, and I can only imagine that the levels going forward are going to be even more difficult, so there's a lot of fun and replayability here. So, final verdict on Hatchlings is 2 thumbs up. Really try out this game. I think you're going to like it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like what I'm doing here, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.